You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host, Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts, Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
You are listening to The Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, May 15th show. You can also listen to our podcast, Facebook premiere show, or on our show YouTube channel. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
It is a great day to talk about money. And that is what our show is all about, how to make money, save money, so you can have a better quality of life for you and your family. If you are listening to our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. We are here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that we have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150. or online at themoneyhour.com. And now on our show, many times back, Doug Peterson of Get Priorities Straight. Life energy and our personal finances is going to be our first conversation with Doug right here on 1150 AM KKNW. Doug, welcome back to the show, my friend.
It is terrific to be here.
And a little bit about Doug. Get Priorities Straight, GPS, helps you establish financial integrity, develop innovative personal spending and saving habits to gain financial peace of mind. GPS was founded out of passion for positively influencing individuals, couples, and business owners' lives by helping them transform their relationship with their personal finances. Their comprehensive processes and tools give you clarity and insight into your financial situation so that your funds support the priorities and values that drive you. You then gain control, reduce stress, and enjoy more of what life has to offer. And this is why we bring Doug back on a regular basis, because there is a handful, if that, of people in our market that do what Doug does. And it's such an important part of your money, and which is what the show is all about, and why our show is called The Money Hour. Welcome, Doug.
Thanks.
Well, Doug, life energy and our personal finances. So I want to start out with the first piece of that. What is life energy?
There is only one medium of exchange that's universal, and it's not money. It's your life energy, and it's a finite amount. If you think about your entire life, you can, let's say you live to 100, I can tell you how many hours you're going to live. So when you work, you're trading a certain amount of your life energy for money. Even if you buy and cash in a lottery ticket, it takes some of your life energy to buy it and cash it in. So when you buy something, it's really your life energy you're paying with, disguised in the form of money.
So, Doug, in our day-to-day finances, how would you bring in and explain life energy?
In a really simple example, if you make $20 an hour and buy $60 jeans, you've traded 3 hours of life energy for the jeans. In fact, you can do this every time you buy something, converting the cost of your purchases into how many hours of life energy it's really costing you. So you'll start to wonder whether the jeans are worth 3 hours of energy or not. And when we had a old Ford Fairmont and it was a third car, I calculated after all my expenses and working that it would take me 5 hours a month to pay for that car, maintenance, insurance. And it was really clear we didn't need a third car. I don't want to spend 5 hours for an old car.
Wow, that's really cool. And then now I'm already going through my mind of like, how much time am I giving up in my life? This is crazy on little things, especially if you're not aware. People that don't talk to you, Doug, they don't have a plan in place. You're calculating to the hour of your purchases, which makes a huge difference. So, I mean, if money is our life energy, then wouldn't it make more sense that we would treasure it and treat it with more care and be conscious of the decisions that we're making behind it?
Absolutely. And, the same thing you mentioned earlier in the show where you were talking about, good debt versus bad debt. Are you wasting it? Are you buying depreciating assets and paying interest on top of it? Or are the assets appreciating? We only have a certain amount available to us. And once we've spent it, there's no getting it back. I mean, let's think of a situation where people are in jobs they don't like. That's a really tough situation to be in, and they're trading their life energy for it. And it's precious because it's so limited and irretrievable. And the choices of how we use it express the meaning and our purpose of our time on earth. So I found it becomes a real issue of goals versus our values. If they're in conflict, our values always win. If you don't want your values to win, if you choose your health, you lose your health, happiness, relationships, and peace of mind. So values are like a compass that keep us headed in the desired direction and are distinct from goals. Goals are specific ways you intend to execute your values. A goal is something that we aim for and check off once we've accomplished it.
Doug, I'm excited for this next part of our segment, because Doug is actually going to take Keelan and myself through an exercise so that you can see how this all works. Now, I am a local industry leader in the mortgage space, have been for over a quarter of a century. I also do a time management and business efficiency course, and this is why I have so much respect for what Doug does, because what he does, it is about a lifestyle. Just as in my coaching course, it's on time management and business efficiency, but the why behind it is so that you can live the life that you want to live. So Doug, I'm really excited to switch our show around a little bit and have you ask some questions for Keelan and myself. So how do you clarify goals versus values?
Okay, this is a little exercise I'll walk you through. It only takes 30 to 60 seconds per question. I wanted to give you a very short time because your first response is usually the most important. And so we're going to do this rapid fire, and you can always change your mind later. So first, I'll ask Tina and then go right to Keelan and just rattle these off. It doesn't have to be perfect, but what are 5 things you value most in life right now? And I'm not even going to have you rank them yet. Just 5 things you value.
Myself, my family, my community, my health, and my experiences.
All right, Keelan. That's good.
Any other than the ones she already mentioned, do you have any more?
Well, I would say family, health. So we got some in common. Friends. Don't forget fun. I like to have fun.
That's experiences.
Finances. Spirituality is important to me too. We didn't mention that one.
Dang it.
Fantastic. So
Doug, I said myself first, which that was ranked in order, but I said myself first because I need to be my best self so I can be best for the people that I love.
Mm-hmm. Now, this exercise is something you can do each month and tune. So the first cut is going to be really rough, but be 80% of the way there. So 3 most important goals in your life right now, Keelan.
Get healthy. I want to play soccer again. I've been struggling with a knee issue. Grow my business by 1/3, and I want to buy more real estate.
Okay, Tina.
I wake up every day to be an inspiration to at least one person. My second would be to be a little bit better today than I was yesterday. And my third is to wake up and embrace all the small miracles that are waiting for me, because it's an amazing day.
Okay. You're going to really test this system here, Tina.
So, oh, am I?
Yeah, you are. You get the first one. You have only 6 months left to live. Okay. 6 months left to live. How are you going to spend those 6 months? What will you start? What will you finish? The real question here is, how much of your life is in harmony with your values?
Yeah, so that it's hard, because if I knew I was going to live for 6 months, I would stop working, not because I don't like working, because I love working and I love to continue to build my finances. But I try, I always say, and Doug, me personally, Keelan, you do as well. I work really, really hard, but I travel and I play just as hard as I work. So I feel I have a real balanced life. I have plenty of time to give back to my community, offer all these complimentary programs that I do, but I work really hard as well. However, if I only had 6 months left to live, the only thing I would do is spend that time, and I would probably balance it out with the people that I care about most, my family and my closest friends, and giving to the community, participating somehow. So that's a hard one, but it would be different than I'm living the life that I'm living now.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Keelan?
Yeah, sorry, you might have heard my mouth moving. I had a package that showed up and my dog's barking in the background, but I don't want to take away from this because I'm loving this. Tina, it's same thing for me. I would spend more time with the people that mean the most to me, and it would be more experience driven, like really just strip my life of all the extras, thinking about my future, and just go right to the core of right now of like having a time with those that I love the most, especially my family.
Yeah.
All right. Now you've already looked at your goals for the year. And you've looked at what if it's all taken away and you're only going to live a little bit, but now you've been healed. You've won the lottery, 27 million tax-free dollars. What are you going to do differently, Keelan?
I'd probably travel more. That's tough. I'd maybe like traverse from different states so I can change up my environment a little bit, maybe have a summer winter house, and I'd take care of those financially that I'd love. I'd probably just make sure the people that I care about the most, especially my family, just don't have to worry about anything anymore.
Tina?
Yeah, same thing. I would do a lot more traveling than I do now. I'd probably buy a village in Guatemala and set my first granddaughter up, and yeah.
So my wife is very practical. With 6 months left to live, she said I'd eat more carbs and drink more wine.
I would do that too. That's good.
As soon as she was healed, she said I'd eat less carbs and drink less wine.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
She is very practical.
That's the best answer ever.
So we got to wrap this up. But what I want you to think about is, some of the things you said were different than your 5 most important things and different than your top priorities. And so when we strip away everything and then we add it all back, it helps clarify what's really important, because our values will always win. And you guys are awesome to work with and know personally, because you really ask this question a lot. So I was very curious to hear how you do it. There's a couple more questions we don't have time to cover, but I'll tell you what those are. But this is an exercise you can just ask yourself very briefly each month for just a few months. And then I do it every year now with my wife, saying, what's changed? Are we on track? Do we want to do anything else? So we don't say shoulda, coulda, wouldas. The other questions are, what have you always wanted to do but been afraid to tempt? What do you hear in your head? I'm too old, I'm too young, I have too much hair. I hear that one a lot. Self-limiting beliefs are exposed. And what sort of activities give you the greatest feelings of important? What's make your heart sing? What gives you energy? What do you never tire of? And what great thing would you dare to dream if you knew you could not fail? If you had a genie in a bottle, what would it be? Are you willing to pay the price? You kind of like this stuff, don't you, Tina?
Oh, yeah. It's right up my alley.
And Keelan as well. So anyway, the bottom line is, when we align our goals and values and we look at cash flow management, it's a skill everybody can learn. It gives you more choices, more freedom, less stress, a better marriage. And that's enough for me.
Yeah, that's so great. Doug, my personal motto is live your dream now. It's not about embracing or reaching for an extraordinary life. It's about embracing every second of your day. And through that process, you have an extraordinary life every day. And this is kind of what an exercise around that, to really be able to focus on what's important in life. And that was a lot of fun. Doug, we try to make this show about our guest, but it was kind of nice. You made this segment all about Keelan and I. That was cool.
Well, you guys are the consummate givers. I feel like the three of us are going to different schools together.
Yes, we
are. And I learn from both of you every time we connect. And it's just so much fun being part of your community, and you're being part of mine.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Doug. Coming up next on the Money Hour, don't go away, because next we're going to talk with Doug about money, marriage, and living. Doug Peterson of Get Priorities Straight, right here on 1150 AM KKNW.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
You are listening to the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, May 15th show. You can also listen to our podcast, Facebook premiere show, or on our show YouTube channel. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
We are here to help you build a strong financial blueprint, 1 week and one show at a time. If you are hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. We are here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that we have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150, or online at themoneyhour.com. And in studio again, and still here with us, Doug Peterson of Get priorities straight. We're going to be talking about money, marriage, and living right here on 1150 AM KKNW.
Doug, we're going to pop right back into this. That was a lot of fun, by the way, the exercise. I was just thinking about that. But we're going to dive into practicality of what you're seeing with your clients right now as it relates to personal cash flow. What are you seeing with your clients currently in this environment we're in?
Well, and I want to relate this to marriages specifically for this segment. The fear and anxiety and disconnects disappear. I am finding people when they see what's going on, and you guys are doing this too with your multiple analysis where you're looking at multiple scenarios. How long are you going to stay here? It gives a lot of clarity. So it's easy to make a decision. When you know where your money's going, you make different decisions because you didn't look back and go, whoa, that was expensive. You're doing it on purpose. You're making adjustments as you go. So the biggest thing that I see that I'm most excited about is a sense of peace of mind and spouses working together for the first time, easily talking about money and not having that, oh, we got to have the money chat again. And
So
it's
Doug,
go ahead. No, I said it's just delightful to see.
Yeah, so let's talk about peace of mind, because I'm sure you have students that come to you and say, Doug, can you really get peace of mind around money? How do you respond to that?
Well, there's some things we can't control. So I don't get into those. I mean, I can't give you a guarantee your job will stay and all that. However, there's a huge difference between living on paying your bills like most people do, paying your credit card balance, paying it off, but not your entire balance, your statement balance, which means you're living on money that you are spending. You're paying off money you spent 30 to 60 days ago. Instead, paying it all off and having enough money to budget out for the next month, 2 or 3 before the month starts. So instead of living on next month's income, you're living on a month or 2 income, and it gives you a runway. It gives you flexibility. You have money when you need it. You've saved for infrequent expenses. So that in itself gives a huge amount of peace of mind because you know where you stand, and you also know that you've got a runway if something happened.
You know what? I'm sure you see this a lot, Doug, but one of the things I noticed as a financial advisor previously and in my current, as a certified mortgage advisor, there's a lot more people living paycheck to paycheck out there. No matter how much you make, that income creep happens and you get yourself in more expenses living up with the Jones. I mean, it's crazy to me on some of the circumstances that I've seen, because I do feel like I do a pretty good job about it. But it's not just about money. It's about dealing with all the other tasks that you're managing in your household too, money being the most important, but all things combined. What do you suggest for people about dealing with, all things combined there?
So when I got married, I really didn't think of, am I going to have administrative tasks in my marriage? And then we had kids, and holy smokes, anybody that's got kids or has been married knows that there's stuff to deal with. We got to deal with health insurance. We got to deal with car repairs. We got to deal with home maintenance and yard maintenance. And what about our vacations? And what about Christmas? And where are we going to go? Well, I haven't found anybody that loves coming home exhausted and going, oh, we got to make a decision on this right now because I put it off and I didn't know what to do. So I just suggest a very simple weekly meeting. And because my system's so simple, you can do your financial piece in 10 minutes to 20 minutes each week. And then the rest of the time is figuring out the fun stuff, the maintenance stuff. And now you're doing it all at one time. You're batching it. Sounds familiar, Tina? You're batching all your tasks and you're getting the work done. So when somebody says, hey, your second cousin's graduation is on June 12th, I put it on the agenda for us to talk about it. Yes, it sounds structured, but it's only 1 hour a week. And then you're done. And I bring it up then. I don't have to send a text and she has to remember to get back to me and all that. It makes it really easy. So the idea is not just managing your cash, which is a foundational piece that I handle, but it's how do you spend as little time as possible and be as efficient as possible and get great results so you can spend more time being married, being a father, being a mother, enjoying life. Makes sense. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, right up my alley. Efficiency and time blocking. That's how you live the quality of life that you want to live for sure. Now, when we went in our last segment, you put Keelan on, I threw that quiz, which was so much fun. And the first question you asked about the 5 things, and I said experience was one of mine, my life experiences. So in what we're talking about, how do you pull this together and make this a life experience or fun? Because if you can make this into fun, then people are going to be excited about engaging in what they should be doing to have a better quality of life.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Sometimes part of fun is not having stress later, or feeling on top of things, or being able to skip a week because you're so on top of it and you've got a system in place that reminds you of what's important way before it comes up. And so part of it is just being on top of things. When people know where all their money's going, when people know all the moving parts coming at them are captured, and they can make decisions because they have a knowing of what's going on, not a feeling of some of what's going on, it makes it more enjoyable. However, there's also, you can include this with coffee dates, walks. I do like to use tools in front of a computer, but some of it is just a discussion of, let's just think out loud about what we want to do. You don't have to do that sitting in front of a computer. And in fact, all the programs I use Asana to track tasks, you can put on your phone. So you just don't have to make this a routine. You can go for a walk, go to a coffee shop, sit down, hit some of your priorities. And now with Wi-Fi everywhere, you can do it anywhere.
I love that, Doug. And here's something that I'm taking away. And I hope if you're listening to our time here with Doug, you are as well. Have someplace special that you actually do not get to go unless you're doing these activities, because that's how you make it fun. That's how you make it an experience. This is a special location and it's reserved only for doing the things that you need to be doing with your finances. So thank you, Doug. That's awesome.
I want to add one more thing. I did buy a hot tub. So we're going to try this in the hot tub.
Oh, you go, Doug. That is awesome.
Hopefully I won't get the computer wet.
That's awesome.
Don't electrocute yourself, please.
I remember when, and I can relate to what you're saying there, Doug, about coming up. I remember I did the envelope thing when I'm sure you've heard about this. This was the first experience I had with budgeting. I put envelopes and you write on there for each one of your bills, and then you make sure to have a fun fund and different things. And I found out at the end of it, I had more money than I ever knew what to do with. I'd had this take money out of an envelope that I didn't use to go have more fun. So like for me, that was kind of the aha moment around like putting some organization and getting rid of some of that stress and anxiety around money. What are your thoughts on planning?
Well, I want to hit on 2 points. One to respond to what you said. Not only is it nice to have a fun fund, you can have multiple funds. Like we have our entertainment fund together. We have our anniversary dinner fund. We have our date night fund. And when you maybe want to do something bigger, you can grab from all of them. But we also have, and I think this is missing out of a lot of marriages, our own fund.
And you have your birthday fund.
Oh, and I have birthday fund. I got a lot of them. And it's really fun because they all grow and you're living on, you're putting money where you want it. But we also have this thing, it's just Doug's fund and Harriet's fund. Well, every time I don't spend my $400 worth of spending money each month, I throw it in Doug's fund. Well, it's up to $3,000. And I went out and bought this hot tub. It was only $620 plus tax. And I had $800 in my expense fund because I hadn't even put it in the fund yet. And it's a really great feeling knowing I have plenty. So one other thought on planning, though, that was just kind of to respond to your comment, which is great. You actually do have, not only do you have more, but you think about where you want to spend it more, because it's harder to let go of what you have than it is to spend it on credit. I mean, that's one of the reasons they do credit. You spend 23 to 28% more on credit. But planning, and this is especially important, I would like to point to you, Keelan, you're hitting a very busy part of your life with a family, a young family. And I remember my 30s, 3 kids, I rarely had time to do much. We had a couple small trips, never vacations. Trips are with kids, vacations are without. Not that I don't love kids, but it's kind of hard to rest up when you got kids. So we go and we take a a break, we're going up to Chrysalis, which is up in Bellingham. We used hotel points. It'll be free. It's got a view of the water, fireplace. It's a really nice place. And we're going to talk about what our next year looks like and what we want to do as a couple, what we would do with our family, our grandkids, all our projects, all our travel, and then book it out so that work isn't in the way. And when you're in your 30s and 40s, you really need to book ahead or you'll never get a break.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. I mean, as everybody knows, I just had a baby on the 24th. I call them forced vacations. I will just inject it into our lives. And fortunately, due to some success at work, we have a trip to Cabo coming up in September. And then we're planning a trip to England to go see my family. But I could very easily go by with years of me never going anywhere if it wasn't intentional, just full on. There's just no time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, Doug, as we're wrapping up our segment here, I'd like to ask a final question for you, because I would imagine that you find a lot of tension around money with couples. And would that be a correct statement that majority of couples are pretty stressed out and have tension around money?
They do. Sometimes it isn't between the couples. Sometimes it's just they're stressed because they don't know where they stand. One of my clients said, I am I have a ton of anxiety, but I'm not sure what I should be worrying about, but I'm worried about it. And so that's absolutely true. And this process of getting clear, knowing how much is in your envelope, because it's the same type of concept. This is what we put aside for this, really eliminates that lack of clarity. And it's the fear of the unknown that we struggle with more than anything. It also takes it away from we can't afford it, which is an opinion, afford it compared to what, to which bucket should we take it out of? Which envelope should we take it out of? Should we take it out of vacation fund? Well, if it's important, you might want to. But if you have no funds you want to take it out of, together, you're going to look at it and go, well, I don't want it to come out of my money. I don't want it to come out of my money. Well, you might not want it that bad. And then the tension's relieved.
You know, just like everything else in life and the best of the best in any field, they all have coaches. They have coaches to help keep them accountable, to help understand new ways, look at it from an outside perspective and how to counsel and coach them through something. So if you want to be the best of the best at your life with your family, it starts with your finances, and you need to have a personal finance coach. That's why we have Doug here more frequently on the show than we do any other guest. Doug, thank you from the deepest part of my heart for everything that you're doing and being here with our listeners.
Thanks. I'm honored to be here. And Keelan, I'll be in Cabo in November.
Love it.
So if you'd switch your plans up, I'd appreciate it. It'd be nice to see you down there.
You need to talk to Highlands. You're going to need to talk to Highlands Mortgage, because that's our President's Cup location. Keelan, you want to get on that, Keelan?
Yes, let's do it. I'd much rather hang out with Doug.
Absolutely. Well, you know what we'll have to do is we'll just have to set another vacation and go with Doug.
There we go.
Let's do it.